The narrative opens with Kaworu, a junior at Santa Maria Academy and a proud member of the Public Disciplinary Committee of Justice, a one-woman crusade against men who judge women by their looks. Her method of protest is a handmade pig mask that she wears on her face like a badge of honor, and absolutely no one can tell her otherwise. The scene opens with her wrapping up her latest justice delivery outside school, walking alongside a twin-tailed girl by her side. Other students notice her wearing the mask again and comments that they are in love. Kaworu wants no part of it and says people in love can go ahead and think whatever they want. Her friend sighs and tells her she is talking like that again, pointing out they are young and should be spending their youth more carefully. Kaworu scoffs and lays out her position. The mask is her policy and her protection, because she refuses to stand in front of a man who judges a woman purely by her face. The girl frowns and wonders what she actually means by judging by looks. Kaworu's blood boils as she recalls the guy she just dealt with. He was perfectly charming around every pretty girl in sight but completely ignored her the moment he saw the pig mask. That is the proof right there. Men pick women based on looks alone and nothing else. And if she ever removed the mask and someone fell for her face, she would be no better than what she is fighting against, which in her mind makes her a freak. The girl quietly wonders what would happen if someone genuinely liked her even after seeing her true face. Kaworu shuts it down without hesitation. Never. Further down the alley, they spot a crowd of girls completely surrounding a single boy, greeting him with the energy of a full fan meeting. He greets them back warmly and mentions he is looking forward to hanging out after school. Kaworu watches and asks who that is. The girl identifies him as Takaiza, a third-year transfer student with a gentle feminine energy who is popular with just about everyone. Kaworu stares at him and reaches her verdict on the spot. The only reason a man carries that kind of feminine energy is to get close to girls and take advantage of them. Those girls have no idea what they are walking into. But Kaworu is on the scene now, so they can rest assured. She readies her weapon, launches herself into the air, declares mid-flight that men only ever care about faces and never about what is inside a woman, and screams at Takahisa to die. He spins around, startled. Then he sees the mask. His expression does a complete flip. He is not scared. He is thrilled. He wonders if he can get a closer look. Kaworu lands. He is already leaning in, curious whether it is handmade. Before she can respond, his friends crowd around her holding stuffed animals and talking over each other about what to bring to the swimming club's sewing event. Kaworu stands in the middle of all of it and quietly realizes she just interrupted a sewing craft discussion. Takahisa tells her the mask is the most impressive thing he has seen and requests to borrow it as a reference for his next sewing project. She says no. He puts his hands together and makes another sincere plea. She hands it over without further resistance. He lifts it clean off her head. Her face is now fully visible. She stands there frozen, trembling, and going completely red. Takahisa examines the embroidery with careful admiration and inquires who made it. She answers in a shaking voice that her mother taught her. He lights up completely, tells her she is incredible, and invites her to the sewing club to teach his members how to sew. He calls her by name with a warm smile and heads off with the entire crowd trailing behind him. The twin-tailed girl watched the whole thing play out and remarked that he seemed like a genuinely good person and that the two of them clearly share the same interests. Kaworu insists that is exactly what makes him dangerous and declares she will deal with him personally. The girl smiles and tells her she is in love. Kaworu spins around and runs off at full speed. The girl calls after her that running with the mask on backwards is a safety hazard. Kaworu is in the middle of her rounds, taking down every guy she catches harassing girls on campus. One after another, they hit the ground until the area is finally clear. With the injured loaded onto stretchers and the nurses taking over, she steps back and declares the job finished. Yuriji Tamagawa aka Tama arrives and wonders isn't she overdoing it. Kaworu waves it off, saying this is nothing compared to her real mission, protecting vulnerable female students from men who think they can take advantage of them. Tama tilts her head and points out that for someone so devoted to that cause, Kaworu seemed awfully happy when Takahisa complimented her earlier. She instantly turns red and denies it. Tama watches in confusion as Kaworu doubles down, insisting there is absolutely no universe where she would ever let a man get close to her feelings. Tama casually points behind her and announces that Takahisa is standing right there. Kaworu nearly jumps out of her skin, spinning around and shouting at him to stay away while accusing him of being the source of all her problems. Watching the reaction, Tama quietly concludes that Kaworu might be the most transparent person she has ever met. Kaworu catches the look and immediately starts lecturing her. Tama apologizes, then points behind her again and notes that this time he is actually there. Before Kaworu can complain, Takahisa calls out to her, saying he has been looking all over campus for her. The shock sends her crashing to the ground, her pig mask flying into the air. Tama crouches beside her and tells her to breathe. Takahisa chuckles at the sight before asking Tama if she has a moment, explaining that he has some business with Kaworu. Tama happily gives him permission to continue. Kaworu immediately protests, insisting Tama has no right to make decisions for her. Certain she knows exactly why he tracked her down, she convinces herself he sees her as an easy target because she did not confront him properly that morning. Tama stares in disbelief as Kaworu launches into another speech about how trusting men always ends badly and how that belief was the entire reason she created the Public Disciplinary Committee of Justice. While the two are distracted, Takahisa quietly steps closer and mentions that ever since seeing her mask that morning, he has wanted to give her something. Kaworu freezes. Her mind immediately jumps to the worst possibilities, a joke, an insult, or something meant to mock her. As he reaches into his bag, she silently decides that whatever he pulls out is going to cost him. Instead, he holds out a small handmade stuffed toy inspired by her pig mask. Kaworu stares at it in shock as her entire expression changes. The doll is carefully stitched together and clearly made with genuine effort. Scratching the back of his head, Takahisa admits he did not have much time, so it is far from his best work. He adds that it cannot compare to the original mask she made herself, but he hopes she will keep it. Before she can respond, he turns and runs off, waving over his shoulder with a bright red face. He calls out that she can throw it away if she wants and reminds her that he will be waiting in the sewing club room after school. Tama leans in for a closer look and immediately declares it the cutest thing she has seen all week. She points out that Kaworu has just received something genuinely special, and there is no chance it belongs in a trash bin. Quickly regaining her composure, Kaworu straightens her posture and announces that she has absolutely no use for such an item. As a member of the Public Disciplinary Committee of Justice, she explains, school regulations do not permit students to carry around unnecessary personal belongings. Therefore, as a commissioner, she has no choice but to confiscate it into official custody. Clutching the toy tightly, she quietly adds that perhaps one day she can find a way to use it against him. Tama smiles warmly and tells her to take good care of it. Kaworu nods and declares that until the proper opportunity presents itself, she fully intends to. After school, Kaworu arrives at the sewing club room and finds herself staring at what can only be described as organized chaos. Takahisa is surrounded by girls on all sides, with everyone treating him like the center of their world. Taking a seat, she decides to simply observe for now. She has no intention of making a move against him without proper evidence. The reason for her confidence is simple. In her mind, Takahisa is completely in love with her. After all, he personally made and gifted her that handmade stuffed toy earlier that day. As far as Kaworu is concerned, that is practically a marriage proposal. She has not decided whether to accept his feelings or punish him for having them, but either way, she is convinced she holds all the cards. Meanwhile, the chaos continues. One girl eagerly approaches Takahisa Sanapi and suggests they make a panda stuffed animal together. Before he can answer, another girl jumps in, insisting she is already making pandas with him. The rest of the club immediately joins the argument, each claiming they want to make a panda with their beloved senpai. Kaworu leans back and watches with quiet confidence. As far as she is concerned, these girls are wasting their time. No matter how hard they compete for Takahisa's attention, he has already given his heart away. At least, that is what she firmly believes. Then one of the girls steps forward holding a small worn doll, and sweetly asks if he could repair it because it has become a little frayed. Kaworu blinks. Before Takahisa can respond, more girls begin speaking up. One says her doll is damaged too. Another mentions that one of the eyes fell off her stuffed animal. A third admits she accidentally stained hers and asks if he can clean it. Takahisa looks around at everyone for a moment. Then he collects every doll being offered to him, and calmly says he will fix them all right away. The girls thank him warmly, and the room quickly fills with cheerful chatter. Meanwhile, Kaworu's entire worldview begins to crumble. She sits frozen, desperately trying to process what she is seeing. One girl, two girls, three girls, four girls. Staring into the distance, she imagines a perfect square and arrives at a devastating conclusion. He made stuffed animals for all of them. He has been doing this for all of them. From the very beginning she should have seen this coming. She reaches for her weapon. She apologizes to him silently in her head for one brief moment, acknowledging that she genuinely thought he might be different. But evil is evil and justice cannot take a day off. She raises the blade and screams at him. Takahisa turns around and calls her name. She freezes. He tells her that seeing everyone's dolls just reminded him of something. The stuffed toy he gave her earlier, the one modeled after her face, he admits it was actually quite difficult to make. She always had her mask on, so he had to work entirely from memory, and he honestly assumed she would never even notice the resemblance. Kaworu stares at Takahisa, struggling to process his words. He laughs and tells her to take a closer look at the toy, explaining that the face was meant to resemble her. When he removes the doll's tiny mask, her breath catches. It really does look like her. He only saw her face for a few seconds that morning, yet remembered it well enough to stitch it into a handmade doll. Kaworu stands there, quietly stunned. Takahisa scratches the back of his neck and admits with an embarrassed laugh that it is not a perfect likeness, but he did his best. After a moment, Kaworu looks at the doll and bluntly says it looks nothing like her. Caught off guard, Takahisa blinks. Kaworu then removes her mask and tells him that if that is the case, he should take a proper look and get it right this time. If he fails again, she will personally hold him accountable. Takahisa immediately lights up and leans in to study her face with complete concentration. The moment he gets too close, Kaworu completely panics, her face turning bright red as she frantically tells him to back up and give her some space. After everything that happened, Kaworu returns to the public disciplinary committee room ready to focus on work. However, she is immediately informed that complaints have been coming in from higher-ups. Confused, she asks what they mean. As far as she is concerned, the committee has always operated properly, and if mistakes were made, she wants specific details. One of the members brushes it off and simply reminds her not to lose sight of what the committee is meant to stand for. Later, while walking through campus, Kaworu spots Takahisa approaching. Before she can stop herself, she excitedly walks toward him with a stuffed animal in hand, asking what he thinks of her latest creation. Then reality hits her. She immediately turns around and runs in the opposite direction. Completely confused, Takahisa follows after her and asks what is wrong. Kaworu stops and firmly tells him not to talk to her. She explains that she has been ordered to enforce stricter discipline on campus, meaning she cannot be seen casually chatting with male students. Because of that, he needs to stop acting so familiar with her. After a moment, Takahisa quietly says he understands. He wishes her luck with her duties and walks away. Kaworu watches him leave, unable to shake the disappointed look on his face. Still, she quickly reminds herself that she is a disciplinary commissioner and he is exactly the kind of person she should be dealing with. None of this should matter to her. Shortly afterward, Tama appears and asks if she is okay. Kaworu insists everything is fine. A week passes. While carrying out her usual patrols and dealing with another offender, the stuffed toy suddenly slips from under her arm and lands on the floor. Kaworu freezes. The hallway falls silent. She realizes everyone can see it. Even worse, she realizes she carried that stuffed animal because she has not seen Takahisa lately. As students stare at her, Kaworu struggles to process the uncomfortable truth. She is supposed to dislike him. She is supposed to want him gone. Yet somehow, his absence has started to feel a lot like loneliness. Refusing to acknowledge what that means, she quickly moves on. Then a hand suddenly reaches out from behind a nearby wall. In a strange, croaky voice, it announces that it is not Takahisa but Kero the Frog, and Kero the Frog would very much like to have a conversation today. A green frog puppet wiggles at her from behind the wall. Kaworu stares at it, overwhelmed by equal parts embarrassment and disbelief. She calmly informs Kero the Frog that a public disciplinary commissioner cannot be fooled by such tricks and that she intends to purge all three of his heads. The hand instantly retreats. From behind the wall, Takahisa's muffled voice admits that he simply wanted to talk to her. Turning away with burning ears, Kaworu insists she does not want to talk to him. After a brief silence, she sits down beside the wall and reluctantly admits that since he seems so desperate, she can overlook it just this once. Fine. They can talk. Takaisa's excitement immediately returns. Kaworu gives him about 1 second before snapping at him and demanding to know why he cannot just talk to her normally instead of hiding behind a frog puppet. Kaworu is standing outside on duty, reminding herself that her entire purpose is to protect students from impure intentions and that she must always keep a level head. Then Takahisa jogs up to her and asks if she is free this Sunday and whether she would like to go to Disneyland with him. Her heart nearly stops. She tells him she is free before her brain can intervene. Back in the classroom, Tama loses her mind with excitement the moment she hears, asking if it could be a date and telling her to have fun. Kaworu looks at her like she has lost the plot entirely. She and Takahisa are natural enemies. This is not a date, it is an assassination attempt. She saw something different in his eyes today, more tense and serious than usual, which in her mind confirms he is planning to eliminate her at Disneyland. She grabs her weapon and prepares to strike first. Tama barely gets a word in before Takahisa walks straight into the room, cheerfully saying he was glad to hear her answer that morning and pulls out a fully detailed attraction plan he drew up for the day, complete with a map. Kaworu's grip loosens. He points out the Pig Thunder Mountain with genuine excitement and asks what she wants to ride. She sinks into her seat, quietly mutters that she wants to go on the balloon slide, and he marks it as their top priority without hesitation. That evening she calls Tama in a panic, shouting that it really is a date and asking what she is supposed to do now. Tama tells her they are going shopping tomorrow. Tama shows up late to the pig store and Kaworu is already irritated before she even arrives. Tama laughs and says she never imagined the two of them would be out buying clothes for a date together. Kaworu insists it is not a date, it is a duel between him and her morals, and someone is going to lose. Tama disagrees and walks ahead. Kaworu follows, confused, realizing she left the entire plan in Tama's hands. Tama stops in front of a section full of cute feminine clothes and says Kaworu would look great in them. Inside she holds up an outfit and says Takahisa will definitely fall even harder for her if she wears it. Kaworu recoils, saying there is absolutely no way she is putting on something like that, because it is the kind of thing a grown woman wears, and she is a member of the disciplinary committee. Tama shoves her into the changing room anyway and closes the door in her face. Kaworu shouts her name in fury. She attempts to put the outfit on and immediately gets stuck because of her enormous mask. She emerges looking flustered. Tama screams that she looks adorable. Kaworu admits she is not completely comfortable with how revealing the outfit is, but she does like the pink design. Tama reminds her that the entire store specializes in pink clothing. Before Kaworu can say anything else, Tama hands her another outfit and confidently claims that Takahisa would definitely fall for her if she wore it. Hearing that, Kaworu suddenly becomes interested. In her mind, if she can make Takahisa fall for her, she can keep him from chasing after anyone else. The idea makes her far happier than she wants to admit, so she quickly agrees to try it on. Inside the changing room, she hypes herself up, convincing herself that this outfit is the ultimate weapon that will finally settle her battle with Takahisa once and for all. She has suffered enough because of him, and this time he is the one who is going to be the flustered one. She throws open the door ready to make her entrance and asks Tama what she thinks. Takahisa is standing right there. He tells her she looks incredibly cute. Kaworu short-circuits completely. Tama explains he was just passing by while shopping for stuffed animal materials at the pig store. He laughs and says the outfit suits her really well. Kaworu is vibrating. Later as they leave, she turns to Tama, suspecting that was on purpose. On Sunday, Kaworu waits outside Disneyland, repeatedly reminding herself that this is not a date. In her mind, it is a carefully planned trap, and she is the one in control. When Takahisa arrives, he apologizes for being late. The moment he sees her outfit, however, he freezes and tells her she looks like an adorable mascot character. Kaworu dismisses the comment, convinced he is hiding his real reaction. After all, he saw her trying on a different outfit at the store the day before and must have expected her to wear that instead. Her plan was to surprise him by showing up in something completely different. As she smugly walks beside him, a horrifying realization suddenly hits her. The outfit from the store is actually underneath her jacket. She immediately turns to him and insists he should not misunderstand. She is absolutely not wearing it for him. The only reason she put it on was because Tama threatened to end their friendship if she did not. Before she can continue, Takahisa points toward the entrance and takes off running. Kaworu chases after him in her bulky layered outfit, struggling to keep up while reminding herself that amusement parks are for children and she is definitely not excited about any of this. At the security gate, disaster strikes. The staff member informs her that she needs to remove her mask and outer jacket to pass through security. Kaworu immediately freezes. She cannot remove the jacket because of what she is wearing underneath, and she refuses to take off her mask because it is part of who she is. After struggling with the situation for a while, she finally collapses outside the gate and declares the entire thing impossible. The jacket she wore to mess with Takahisa has completely backfired. Takahisa kneels down, takes her hand, and helps her up. He gently tells her that she could simply remove the jacket to get through, but if she is uncomfortable with that, he does not mind skipping Disneyland entirely. To him, the destination does not matter as long as they are spending time together. Kaworu stares at him for a moment. Then she sighs, removes her mask, and tells him that it obviously matters more to him than she does, which is the only reason she is willing to do this. Finally, she unzips her jacket. The sight leaves Takahisa completely red-faced. Instantly flustered, she changes her mind again and loudly announces that they are going inside, but the jacket is going right back on the moment they get through security. Takahisa agrees without hesitation, looking happier than ever. The line is far longer than either of them expected, and Kaworu is already feeling the weight of her mask when she overhears two people nearby estimating the wait. At least 2 more hours, they conclude. After doing the math, she realizes they are facing nearly 3 hours in line. Takahisa calmly pulls a drink from his bag and asks whether she would like tea or cafe all late. She chooses tea and notices how relaxed he seems despite the situation. This is the attraction she specifically requested, yet he shows no sign of impatience. Then a couple further ahead starts arguing. The man complains about the wait, while the woman fires back that he was the one who insisted on riding the attraction. Watching them, Kaworu feels quietly satisfied. She remembers Tama once explaining that amusement park lines often make couples fight because hours of waiting drain both patience and conversation. Even though she and Takahisa are not a couple, she sees this as the perfect chance to expose whatever flaws he is hiding beneath his friendly personality. Instead, Takahisa offers her a bag of snacks. When she ignores him, he suddenly points at the ground and excitedly shows her a hidden Busan symbol embedded in the pavement. According to rumors, it is one of several secret markings scattered throughout the park. Kaworu instinctively wants to look, but quickly forces herself to look away. The moment she engages, her entire strategy falls apart. Takahisa then asks if she has ever heard of Disneyland's 7 Wonders. Her curiosity immediately spikes, but she stubbornly pretends not to care. Ignoring her lack of response, he starts listing them anyway. The first one, he says, is that Busan supposedly has an older brother. Kaworu nearly reacts before catching herself. She keeps telling herself she is not listening, even as she hangs on every word. Eventually, the line moves forward and they finally board the attraction. As the ride begins, Takahisa leans over and jokingly tells her that there is a local legend saying that placing her mask between her feet during the ride will bring good luck. Kaworu can't help laughing. Calling the story ridiculous, she finally relaxes a little. Grinning, Takahisa tells her there is actually a secret 8th wonder that nobody talks about. Still blushing, Kaworu turns toward him and asks what it is as the ride carries them deeper into the attraction. The ride finally ends, and Takahisa looks absolutely delighted. As they walk away, he turns to Kaworu and asks if that was not the best experience ever. She is ready with a rebuttal, only to realize she is carrying a giant stuffed bear nearly her own size and several shopping bags she willingly bought along the way. After a brief pause, she stubbornly insists she did not enjoy herself at all. As they make their way to the station, Takahisa spots her train and offers to walk her home. Kaworu immediately rejects the idea. As a proud member of the Public Disciplinary Committee of Justice, being escorted home by the very boy she is supposed to be monitoring would be completely unacceptable. Takahisa points out the mountain of bags she is carrying, but she insists she can handle it. Rather than argue, he simply wishes her a safe trip home and heads off into the crowd. Once aboard the train, she settles into a seat surrounded by shopping bags and her oversized bear. She tells herself this was the correct outcome. After all, Takahisa was probably plotting something suspicious the entire day. The fact that nothing suspicious happened only makes him more suspicious. Looking around the carriage, she notices families happily reliving their day, chatting excitedly about everything they saw and did. The train is full of energy, yet somehow she feels oddly quiet. Glancing down at the bear in her lap, she slowly realizes the silence does not feel peaceful. It feels like something is missing. Something that spent the entire day pointing out hidden details around the park, sharing random Disneyland trivia, and accepted her refusal without making things awkward. She stares out the window. For someone who is supposedly doing great, she feels strangely lonely. Then, just as the train begins to leave the station, a familiar figure appears outside the window. Takahisa is standing on the platform, waving enthusiastically. With a bright smile, he thanks her for spending the day with him and calls out that he will see her at school tomorrow. Kaworu watches him disappear from view. Then she slowly lowers her forehead onto the seat in front of her. What a complete and total idiot. Back at the Public Disciplinary Committee headquarters, 2 members are on their knees in front of the chairwoman delivering a report that nobody in that room wanted to hear. The chairwoman stares down at the paper, expression dropping like a stone. She knows Kaworu. She knows her convictions. This cannot be right. She decides she will handle it personally and holds up a photograph of Takahisa with a smile that does not reach her eyes. The following morning, Kaworu is walking to school with Tama when Takahisa spots her from across the path and greets her with a cheerful good morning. Kaworu turns her face away without a syllable. Tama stares at her and tells her she could at least respond like a functioning member of society. Tama greets him herself. He greets her back warmly. Kaworu scoffs and mutters that she simply does not possess the vocabulary required to exchange pleasantries with a man. She went to Disneyland with him once and that does not change anything. Tama gives her a look and mentions that she seemed to have quite a lot to say about Disneyland Online last night. Kaworu seizes Tama by the shoulders and begins shaking her while demanding she never repeat that information again. Takahisa, who heard all of this, lights up completely. He says he is genuinely glad because he had the best time too, entirely because she was there. Kaworu goes still. He asks if she would want to go somewhere else together next time. She whips around and informs him that she is a member of the Public Disciplinary Committee and has no business going anywhere with anyone and begins walking away at speed. He smiles and says he just has a lot of fun with her. Her face burns. She stops, turns back, and tells him flatly that she hates him. He blinks. She reminds him that she still intends to purge him eventually, using the same over-the-top disciplinary language she always does. He stares at her. Then she adds, with her face going progressively redder, that if he is willing to accept being purged by her eventually, then she supposes she can tolerate his presence in the meantime. She will get around it soon anyway. His entire face flushes. He steps closer and tells her with a wide smile that he will stick around and wait for that day then. The two of them are so absorbed in this completely unhinged exchange that neither of them notices a couple nearby watching them with wide smiles, the woman whispering to her partner about how adorable they are. Her partner, apparently having absorbed none of the lesson from that observation, immediately turns to flirt with her. Before he can finish his first sentence, a hand reaches in from the side and the chairwoman rakes her long nails clean across his face. She surveys the scene in front of her with the energy of someone whose worst suspicions have just been confirmed. She shouts, questioning, "What the hell is this?" Kaworu arrives at school and immediately freezes. The grounds are covered with defeated students, while the chairwoman stands in the middle of the scene as if she personally arranged it. Without wasting time, the chairwoman explains that a male student has been getting involved with a member of the disciplinary committee. She holds up a photograph and asks if Kaworu recognizes him. She looks at the picture. It's Takahisa. Her entire world starts falling apart. In her mind, there is only one explanation. They found out about Disneyland. The chairwoman continues, saying she has no intention of punishing the committee member involved as long as they cooperate and bring the boy to her. Looking directly at Kaworu, she says she trusts her completely and orders her to find him. As Kaworu walks through the school, panic takes over. They know. They definitely know it was her. Trying to calm herself down, she comes up with a simple solution. She can just hand Takahisa over. Once he is delivered to the chairwoman, everything returns to normal. Then someone suddenly crashes into her from behind. She turns around, ready to explode, only to find Takahisa standing there. He quickly apologizes and excitedly shows her a flyer for a stuffed animal bargain sale happening after school. There is even a special event where participants race to collect as many plushies as possible. Smiling, he asks if she wants to go with him. Kaworu looks at the flyer. Then she thinks about the chairwoman waiting somewhere in the building. Unfortunately, every good memory she has made with Takahisa over the past few weeks immediately comes flooding back. Grinding her teeth, she grabs her mask and announces that she is rejecting his invitation. Instead, he is coming with her right now because they are leaving through the back gate and skipping school. Takahisa stares at her in surprise. Kaworu adds that there is no way someone like him would ever agree to skip school on a whim. Without hesitation, he takes her hand and says he has always wanted to skip school with her. Seconds later, the two disappear through the back exit. Hidden behind a nearby wall, the chairwoman watches them leave alongside the rest of her group. She stares at the empty doorway for a long moment. She is profoundly disappointed in Kaworu. Their escape does not last long. Kaworu spots the trap first as committee members begin closing in from every direction with practiced efficiency. Realizing they are surrounded, she immediately warns Takahisa. He casually looks around at the crowd and cheerfully introduces himself, prompting Kaworu to tell him through gritted teeth to read the room. The chairwoman soon steps forward and calls Kaworu's name. The disappointment in her voice is impossible to miss. She says she cannot believe her own sister would throw everything away for a boy and asks if he truly means that much to her. Kaworu immediately denies it, insisting that Takahisa is nothing more than prey. According to her, the only reason he remains unpurged is because she intends to deal with him personally when the time comes. The chairwoman studies her for a moment before calmly pointing at Takahisa and telling her to prove it. Right there and then, she orders Kaworu to purge him. The color drains from Kaworu's face as her sister reminds her why they created the committee in the first place, to protect women and hold harmful men accountable. Kaworu helped lead those efforts herself, so why is she hesitating now? Struggling to keep her composure, Kaworu finally argues that not every man deserves to be purged, only those who actually hurt people. Her sister immediately rejects that idea, insisting that men like Takahisa are no different from the rest. Before the argument can continue, Takahisa steps forward and calmly tells the chairwoman to go ahead. If being purged is what it takes to stop Kaworu from fighting with her sister, then he is willing to accept it. He even apologizes to Kaworu, explaining that he never wanted to be the reason she ended up at odds with her own family. The chairwoman stares at him with disbelief and asks if he has any idea what he just volunteered for. Deciding she has heard enough, she launches forward with her nails drawn, determined to see how long his confidence lasts. But before she can reach him, Kaworu moves on instinct. She jumps between them with her weapon raised, causing the chairwoman's eyes to widen in shock. Holding her ground, Kaworu asks Wani-chan to trust her. This boy is not their enemy. He never was. The chairwoman says nothing in response. She simply stares at her younger sister standing protectively in front of the very person she was ordered to purge, and her expression alone says everything. Kaworu refuses to back down and tells her sister that Takahisa is different from the men they usually target. That is exactly why she is standing in his defense. The chairwoman falls silent. Her expression turns cold as she asks whether her own sister is really choosing to stand against her. Although Kaworu is trembling, she refuses to move. She declares that if her sister wants to go after Takahisa, she will have to go through her first. The chairwoman studies her for a moment before snapping her fingers. The surrounding committee members immediately step aside, creating a clear path behind Takahisa. She tells him he is free to leave and promises she will not stop him. However, if he stays, everything changes. Kaworu starts to object, but her sister cuts her off. She insists that when things become difficult, people always choose themselves first. In her eyes, every man eventually walks away when it matters most, and she wants Kaworu to witness it for herself. Takahisa remains exactly where he is. As the chairwoman continues attacking, she tells Kaworu that she is making the same mistake countless women have made before. The more trust they place in someone, the more painful it becomes when that trust is broken. To her, men only bring disappointment, and she wants Kaworu to learn that lesson now. Then something suddenly crashes into the chairwoman and sends her stumbling backward. Looking up, she sees Takayasa kneeling beside Kaworu and asking if she is alright. The chairwoman cannot understand it. She gave him a perfect chance to escape with no consequences, yet he stayed. Takahisa simply looks at her and gives a straightforward answer. He does not abandon the people he cares about, not to save himself and not for any reason.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I listened to